Alright, welcome everyone back to the channel, Our Poke Ventures. I'm here with one of the channel's,
Rover, here.
Wait, one of the channel's, wait, there's a word, hold on. Sorry.
Useless members. No,
No. Shit. There's a word I wanted to use. One of the channel's ambassadors.
There we go.
Rover and myself, Michelangelo, here to talk about the new trailer drop for the upcoming Detective Pikachu Pokemon movie.
Welcome to Rhyme City, a celebration of the harmony between humans and Pokemon.
First thing,
I'm pumped. I'm so excited. So I just heard about this today.
Oh, today?
Today is the first I've heard about it.
I had quite the roller coaster for the release because almost in one breath I learned that Stan the Man Lee passed yesterday.
Rest in peace.
Which was an all-time low.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, there's Spider-Man all over my house. You've seen it. You know that I'm a big fan. Grew up with comics. And then I also grew up with Pokemon. And the trailer release was yesterday. And, of course, it blew my mind. I am also hyped. But the internet isn't as kind as, you know, there's haters and lovers.
Always.
All the time. So we're going to cover a lot of things, and most importantly, our thoughts as Pokemon fans and avid players of the game. So I want to start off with, I guess, really, what were your thoughts, initial thoughts?
I'm so glad you asked because I found out today, and when they told me, I was like, is this like a prank? I wasn't sure because guess who's playing Pikachu?
Ryan Reynolds.
That's right.
AKA Deadpool.
Exactly. Mr. Funny Man himself. He's always putting out, especially when it comes to advertising. Like he takes it to a whole different level.
Yeah.
And he did the same thing with Deadpool, is where like he goes off on these major tangents to advertise something that he's not really advertising that thing. So
he's a master troller.
Exactly.
He's amazing on Twitter. With his sarcasm and comedy. So yeah, of course, I could see him as part of what you're saying was a joke, which segues exactly to how I ended up seeing the trailer, because I don't traditionally watch trailers. I'm an editor at heart, and I see too much given away in trailers. So I mostly avoid them until the point, especially if it's a movie I want to see, and this is a movie I want to see. I try to avoid as much as I can. Maybe I'll see a teaser. Teasers usually don't give away too much. Exactly. And if I had known ahead of time that this was even a thing that was coming out, I probably would have avoided it. I'm glad I didn't, though. Yeah. I needed to see it. Especially since I thought, too, it was a joke.
Yes.
And if I had waited to see it live, I probably would have. It would have taken me a while for my brain to come to grips with everything I was watching, and may not have enjoyed the movie starting off, because it took me a second even while watching the trailer.
Yeah, I think one of my biggest, like, my saddest moments about the trailer and like taking a look into it deeper.
Yes.
It's released May 10th of 2019. So we've got at least 6 months to wait.
We have a whole year to talk about it.
Exactly. And we will take advantage, because I know you don't want to know all the little details, but I'm interested to find out exactly what is going on.
Yeah, something I think Pokemon is really good at is definitely establishing a lot of Easter eggs.
Yes.
And this is not going to have, this is going to have so many. So yeah, people are going to love picking it apart. We're going to hear about it nonstop. Yeah, this is probably the trailer I'm going to stop at, to be honest. I'm maybe getting a little ahead of myself, because I definitely want to talk a little bit more about the reveal and how we felt about it, because I know a lot of people, can relate to that, or want to hear how other people took it, because they know themselves how they took it, and it'd be good to hear how someone else might have taken it. But I think eventually, and we'll get back to it, there's going to be a trailer that reveals that Team Rocket will be the guys who are stealing everything. It only makes sense, but I thought it was so interesting that they didn't even try to cover it in this one.
You jumped ahead. Like, that was one of the topics I wanted to talk about.
But we'll rewind. Let's finish up what we were saying about the feeling of the film itself, or the trailer itself. At what point did it hit you that, maybe this isn't a joke? Let's go there.
I will say the length of the video and how legitimate it was. Like, a lot of times they're not as, like, polished up, like a fan fiction kind of thing.
Right.
To where this was very precise and went through it and had like release dates, and if you could quickly look it up and find out, oh, it's got an IMDb page. It's legit.
It's legit.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I noticed the kid playing the main actor. I saw him in the Netflix series. It was a good series. I can't even remember. It got canceled, sadly. Maybe that's the reason why.
He was in Jurassic Park though as well. He was an IT guy, so he's a familiar face. You'll notice him when you see him. He's just like, oh, this guy looks so familiar.
He is up and coming, which again I think speaks to the genius of the whole movie. We'll get to that. But he's an up and coming actor. But he was enough of like, all right, of a face that I realized, sometimes these C-list, B-list actors, they'll lend themselves to like a project that might be a fan made thing, and and make it interesting. And definitely there's a bunch of parodies out there that include famous people in there too. So it wasn't a stretch. When I heard Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu, I hesitated for a second and then thought, no, this is still a joke. Because of course he would be Pikachu.
Yes,
and why wouldn't he want to be Pikachu for this joke? Elaborate early April Fool's joke. But then it continued, and yeah, you're right. I was like, oh no, this is real. They put way too much thought into it.
Oh yeah.
I saw Greninjas in there and I was like, yeah. This is going down.
This is happening.
All right, so another topic that you wanted to talk about?
One other touch on is you kind of hit most of those, and what you're going into is kind of the genre of the film itself is what. So I initially see it, and I was worried because I feel like it's not a traditional, like you see the anime Pikachu, the cartoon Pikachu, and Pokemon, and it's more of fun kind of thing, and I don't think this is going to fit that typical build. Yes. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be a little outside of the realm, and I don't know the involvement that Ryan Reynolds has, and I think he always likes to take liberties and kind of stretch things like you saw him do in other movies that he's done. So I think that's one of the things. Like immediately saw this. Okay, this is going to be an adventure comedy. That's what it screams to me.
Right.
So.
No, I think if they had taken the path of giving us the traditional real life Pokemon movie that we've all been wanting and asking for, it would have fell short just because so much of the expectations. They could have done a million different stories, and someone would have been like, "No, that's not the story. I want to leave Palatine. No, I want to see Mewtwo. I want to see the new generations. Forget Kanto, etc., etc., etc." The fact that they built this off of a spin-off game, first of all, is amazing because it brings fans back to that spin-off game, which I don't know about you, I definitely haven't played.
I didn't either.
I'm going to play it now.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Do you want to play it before the movie, or do you want to wait until after the movie? I don't know anything about the game.
That's very true, and definitely the movie will be inspired by the game, so that's a good point to bring up. I'll hold out on deciding that just yet, but it definitely builds excitement or at least interest in the game.
Oh yeah.
So that was smart. I think this is probably their lowest selling game because I definitely don't know anyone else that plays it. So,
and they took it straight to a movie, which I think is going to be
very good, very good.
It's going to pay off big for them. I think people are going to buy into it. Talking about people buying into it, I want to touch on. I think you had mentioned earlier, like we were in just discussion about the types, other types of movie that fit this same type of format.
Yes. Actually, well, before I go into that, because you're touching on not going the traditional way, I think Game Freak has always done this from the beginning and maybe not have gotten the credit. And I say credit because I think it's a great thing. From the beginning and all along for the last 20 years, we might not have noticed it so much because they were mostly just in the video game Nintendo consoles. But whenever we as fans were asking for something, it seemed like they purposely avoided it or went around it and gave us something completely different. Yeah. And for a large time, I personally felt like maybe they were ignoring the general population or at least the U.S. audience, because I'm not sure about overseas. Right. But what I've learned of late is this, and this is my, of course, speculation, but they definitely like going against the grain. They are not afraid of change. And that's a big deal. That points to success a lot of times.
Agreed.
It could point to failure, but you know what? They make enough money with Pokemon. It's a big enough thing that they could come back from it. They showed it with when they revamped the series with Black and White. That brought people back into it, even though it hurt some of the hardcore players. They did it with Let's Go and all the things they're implementing in there, and now, in Pokemon Go. But now with Let's Go, they went ahead and gave us a remake.
Right.
When everyone asking for Generation 8, they gave us a remake, and it's genius in its own right. That's another topic for a day.
So I want to touch on why I think they went a different direction. Is because, like you're talking about, it's people will like to see the same thing. They're like, oh, I want to see the same thing. You don't really want to see the same thing. I think it really comes down to, oh yeah, no, we definitely do. You go and see it like, oh, it's exactly what I expected. And then you rate it poorly, kind of thing. So I think that's why they kind of...
Or it comes and goes.
Right.
It's forgettable.
Exactly.
Right.
You're like, oh, yeah, I remember that. Did I see that movie?
Yeah, this creates the conversation.
Yes,
absolutely. This is the smartest thing. And of course, we can get into, and we should get into, all the components that they added to it. Like I said, the up-and-coming actor, like a Ryan Reynolds, as the main... hero again. He's another hero.
Right, of course.
He makes it. He's another hero, and not only that, but like he is now known as this comedian and also this raunchy, vulgar actor, playing Deadpool out of all people.
Right.
Now voicing Pikachu. You go into it, and it creates this coolness that Pokemon in itself had lost a little bit, gained a little bit with Pokemon Go, but lost it again because of the failures in the initial launch. Which is way better now, as we know. But yeah, it brings people back into it and be like, you know what? I thought Pokemon was a kids thing, but if Ryan Reynolds is Pikachu,
I mean, with a name like that, just leading the show. I mean, so I was scrolling through, and there are some other notable actors. But I think, he's definitely the headline for sure.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah.
But put down the stapler, or I will electrocute you.
So when it comes to movies and how they're graded, basically, there's Rotten Tomatoes out there. It's one of the U.S. IMDb also provides a grade. So I think that people are scared of grades and things like that. And I can't imagine. I can't express enough how many movies I've seen that have gotten low grades, 30s, 15s, and I'm like, this movie was great. Why is it rated so low? And it's don't rely on critics to guide you in that direction. If there's a topic that you like, go after it, go see it, go enjoy it. Spend the extra $7 if you're worried it's gonna be. Go in the mornings, see it for like $5.
Yeah, because I think there's always a takeaway. I mean, if someone put it out there, unless their intentions were completely skewed, you can get something from it. If it speaks to you, it is what it is. There's cult classics that failed, bombed at the box office. Look at Scarface. No one thought they would see the light of day, and it's one of the most popular movies. Is it critically acclaimed? Maybe not. Maybe it's
They may have changed their mind now.
Yeah, that's true. But still, enough people saw it after the release and whatever, and can get behind it. And there's other movies like that. But yeah, definitely there are some movies that I think are, speaking of movies that are similar to this, and some people are going to pick up on that too, which is going to interest people. I think already have. I mean, for me, this to me is in between of Ted. But a G-rated version,
right? Yeah,
which we're fine with. Again,
do we know the rating of it? I don't know if they've released that yet. I think it's unrated at the moment.
Maybe PG-13.
It is.
Maybe I would
be surprised if it's not. I mean, that's their target audience, isn't it?
That is their target. No, yes, that is their target audience. Not only that, it's Ryan Reynolds.
Right, you can't trust him too much.
But I think because of like you said, it's an action comedy to really dive into some of the actions, and we're talking about kidnapped Pokemon. That's still, we're talking about Pokemon, but kidnapping is not it's a serious subject.
Right, exactly. And you don't want to make a game and joke out of it, kind of thing. So
I think that pushes it to the 13, the PG-13.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it definitely won't be rated R.
No,
we know that.
Not.
The worst the trailer even showed was "Shove It," Mr. Mime.
That was
funny.
I loved that little tidbit.
That was so good.
That was one of my favorite things about that actual clip. Is that it brought in the sarcastic and funniness of it, and I think that helps capture some of Pikachu's animated act. Like, he's always acting things out and doing things, and I think that really hammered that home, basically.
I think it really led to Ryan Reynolds piecing it all, because it's like, if you weren't convinced for him as Pikachu up to that point, that sold it.
Yeah,
it was his style of comedy, without the F-bombs or whatever. Like, it was 100% that style of playful, pushing the envelope, and the way he interacted with Mr. Mime with no words was just genius. I thought it was a really good scene. Absolutely.
Yes, that was a great scene. And have we even mentioned Justice Smith's name as Jim Gordon?
No, yeah.
We haven't even mentioned, basically.
There's a lot of things in the movie that's going to be really surprising to a lot of people. A lot of great actors, a lot of people involved. I think they were really smart in every which way they attacked this, even down to the look. Which I think a lot of people had a problem with, is the grittiness of the film. But immediately you look at it and you go, oh, this is not a little kid's film.
Yes. And when you mentioned Ted, I was like, that's exactly what I thought of. Like, that kind of live action where it's like a teddy bear kind of feel to it. They brought that into this, and Ted was top of the charts. It was amazing.
It was just
how much of a success it was.
Yeah, and then part 2 came out.
Exactly.
Yeah, and equally, I think, successful as well. Another movie that I think that it reminded me of, and this is a weird one to make a connection to, because it's a movie that traditionally it failed big time. For me as a kid, though, growing up, it was one of my favorites, and a cult classic probably after these times. And again, speaking to the ratings, but this one didn't do well, but I enjoyed it, was when they brought Super Mario Brothers to live action. And it was weird, because, Mario is a weird game.
Yes, it really is. Like, if you get into, you dive into it.
It's a plumber who has to,
and his brother
fights a dinosaur turtle, stomping on mushroom. Come on. And you make it into a live action. I think they did it perfectly. I loved it. And it was gritty, and they had to do it that way, and it was weird. A lot of people did not like it. Rotten Tomatoes, I think, gave it like a 14%. How crazy is that?
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, that's the feel I got. I don't think that this would be such a big flop, though.
Agreed.
Especially with the people they put behind it, especially with who they casted, and it's Pokemon, and they're doing it smart. We've been waiting for Pokemon to get that facelift and kind of a push for older audience.
I think the big screen push, and I think it really targets it has a good target audience. Like, as I think when we were younger, Pokemon was the game, and now it's becoming kind of, as adults, so we still enjoy it. Like, we're getting into Pokemon Go, and most of the people we play with are our age kind of thing. And
most of the people, just about everyone we play with is adults. Actually, even in the launch of Pokemon Go in itself, I remember being at certain Pokestops, and back when the game was just initially coming out and everyone was out playing it, and there was a moment where there was 10 people, and we were all there, talking over our experience with the game, and dropping a lure, and waiting on the next Pokemon to pop up. And these little kids came by who didn't have their own phones, so they weren't playing the game, and they were like, "That's cool, we want to play." Exactly. And these were the 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
Who the game traditionally is for, but here we were, around 25 to 30-year-olds playing the game and having a blast with it. People walking by were pushing strollers with babies, playing in their 30s and 40s. It's been needing this push, and it's amazing that they casted someone who's clearly a teenager to young adult, not your traditional 10, 11-year-old boy.
There's magic that brought us together, and that magic is called hope.
So what I think made this possible is how well the comic movies have done. How well that Marvel and
interesting.
I think DC did a great job with their few movies that came out recently. They didn't do well in the ratings, but I enjoyed them tremendously.
No, I believe Wonder Woman was one of the top selling ones.
Right.
That was
But Justice League was not.
No, but
So-
Aquaman has a bunch of
Aquaman, I
people are talking about
right, yeah, it's got a lot of hype right now.
Yeah.
So, and I think that one's going to rely a lot on the actor, and we'll see how that one comes.
That's true, yeah.
So, but I'm excited for it. I'll definitely see that one as well. But I think that kind of paved the way for this type of movie. That Ted also helped with it, with that live action feel. That it's going to be widely accepted.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to spark a lot of interest for people that used to play Pokemon as kids, and they're not into Pokemon now. They weren't playing Pokemon Go, and I think this may bring them right back into that world.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely excited to see that.
This is definitely the movie to bring hardcore players and the people who have went away for it for a long time, and maybe had a brief comeback with the Pokemon Go game.
Yep.
But here's another part that I feel. Here's another part that I feel is completely genius. The release is for summer of 2019. Right around the time the movie is leaving the theater, what is the next big hype that we're going to be getting? Generation 8 for the Switch. Like, it's going to be the year of Pokemon.
Yeah, they're going to do well.
And Pokemon Go is only getting better, and they have been speaking to so many things coming. I saw a report on one of the workers in Niantic and how many new things are coming, and this was after the kind of month that we just saw.
Exactly.
And it's like, you haven't released everything that you have in store for us? There's more?
Exactly.
Next year is going to be the year of Pokemon. 100%.
I think so too.
And I mean, it's getting an amazing push with the end of this year, especially with the Let's Go games coming out, and this movie being revealed a little early. Does it seem early?
It doesn't seem
maybe not
early.
too early. No, I guess.
So what makes it feel so far away is the new 2019 look. We're still in 2018,
Yeah,
so we
that's
haven't made it through the winter yet, which we don't have here. But I think that's the big thing. Once you start hitting those, once you hit into the next year, you're gonna feel like it's a lot closer than it.
Even come January, we're gonna the countdown will begin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We may have to do like a little something for that, just a little update. Countdown here and there, like we'll go like hit 5s, 10s, something like that.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah. So all in all, I know that we've covered a few things, but there's one last thing that we need to talk about, and that is maybe the prediction of where the movie's going to take us. We both haven't clearly played the Pikachu Detective games, which the movie is inspired by, and once again, I'll say it's genius because it brings audiences or people, fans, interested in getting that game now. Will we play it? Probably not. See the movie first, then get into it,
Yes.
especially if we like it. But where is that movie going to go? Since we don't know the storyline.
We've got clues that came from
The trailer. And of course, there's always things.
the question is, do we want to tackle that now? Or, because I feel like that's going to spark a whole nother long conversation on how to address that and what your interpretations are.
Oh, the interpretations, absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean, we don't have to go into all the details, but I definitely want to say...
Maybe in our next podcast.
Maybe in the next one, but I definitely want to say that the movie, where it goes, or where it ultimately goes, the arc of the story, for me, isn't as important. I think what we want to see is the interaction of the Pokemon in this real live world setting that is going to speak to the audiences and going to expend their imaginations.
Yes.
When we see, because what we wanted to see is, and you can see in the trailer, there's a little bit of this forest scene, and there's definitely this inner city. We want to believe that Pokemon can exist in our real world, or we want to imagine it. And for some of us that might not have the biggest imaginations, a movie showing that is going to help spark up that hype and get us back into the games and the storyline and wherever media that you want to go into, get your Pokemon feel. But yeah, I think that's the most important takeaway from the movie.
So I'll talk a little bit. I don't have as much strong of a background in the world of Pokemon and the anime and the storylines of it. But what I'm interested to see is how that will the anime versus the live action movie. Now I'm curious, will will there be, like, in Pokemon, there's the constant grind of, trading things up like that, and you're always looking to where's the next battle kind of thing, and how will that play a role in the movie? Will it play a role in the movie? Are they going to, in the trailer, there's a couple posters about, the championship battles and things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how that plays a role in the arc itself.
Yeah. And
with the storyline, just because I've seen the trailer, I've done a little bit of research. I'm curious to see how, Tim Goodman is going to play that, I would say, the Ash Ketchum role in this. It's how's that gonna play out? And
yeah, that's gonna be interesting to me. But again, what I like they did is that they did circle this, or this movie was inspired by the spin-off game, so they can always have another Pokemon movie that is not Detective Pikachu, and they can change up the style altogether.
Yep.
That movie can be focused on the gym battling, or the gym collecting and the battling, and something more familiar like a Palatown or whatnot. Especially seeing the success of what Detective Pikachu can do, or Detective Pikachu itself will have spin-offs that carry the same look because it's such a hit.
Right.
Like a Ted, So we might see, Detective Pikachu Part 2, or maybe get introduced into a character while watching that will have their own adventure series that
teams
covers
split off, and there's so many teams out there that can split it off into. They could do, this could be a shorter, smaller kind of Marvel thing to where they do spin-off movies, and
that would be amazing.
I think it's definitely possible for sure.
Yeah, well, if that happens, you heard it here first.
There you go.
Yeah, that would be incredible. I mean, why not? You have, it wouldn't be hard to come up with the movies. You have red, blue, gold, silver, crystal. Go ahead.
Platinum, it just keeps going.
The platinum movie. Going. You also have all the actual movies, the animated movies, turned into real life. The possibilities are endless. But yeah.
So before I think we wrap this up, we'll probably rambled for a little too long.
Yeah.
I want to bring up one thing that when looking into it in research, the IMDb page leads you to the official Pokemon Detective Pikachu website. So I dove into it, and it is pretty cool. I liked it a lot, and it starts off with, because it's a detective movie, it goes right into a detective little game. So what I challenge you to do is check that out. It has 45 clues, hints, busters kind of thing. You have to find them all. It gives you a magnifying glass. You got to go through and click them. It's really cool. I was able to complete it and find them all, and I only used 4 hints. I got to 40 without any, but the last 5 got me. So check that out.
That's cool.
See if you can beat me on that. Let us know below.
That's awesome. Yeah. We'll leave that in the link for sure, and definitely comment on that and your thoughts on where the movie would go, and maybe stuff that we didn't cover that you are definitely hyped about or upset about. Not happy about. Let us know if you're going to watch the movie or not. But we would definitely be covering it as it continues to grow, as we find out more about it. But this was your first look into Poke Ventures and our thoughts on Detective Pikachu. Thanks for
see you.